Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a lovely and bright and sunny morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. My God, the sun not setting at all. Thank God for blackout curtains, because holy shit, if you've never been to the Northern Hemisphere, well, literally during the summer, the sun is up at all hours of the night. 2 a.m. still bright and shining, and it's quite the spectacle to see. Anyways, I do want to wish you all this happy little Tuesday, and Bitcoin still kind of in the same range that we were speaking on yesterday, so it will be a little bit of a good follow-up video right here. But overall, not a huge move that we've seen either which way, although a few signals being given. So with all that said, I do want to wish you well. Do want to wish you the best, the happiest of the happiest, as we say. Initiate that good old teleportation. I'll see you in the live scene right over here. And there Bitcoin is. There she is in all of her 4-hour glory right over there. Let's start off with the daily. Daily's still looking okay. Daily's still looking like continuation. And that's why I always like to start off with the higher time frames, just because they do kind of help get rid of the noise that you see in the lower time frames, which can be a little bit confusing, especially when you're looking at like an hourly and trying to coincide that with the daily, which the hourly obviously consolidation, the daily quite obviously continuation, as we do make new yearly highs. I believe it was, yes, about 9,500 tick yesterday night. Not necessarily getting to my targets just yet, but damn close. Still a couple hundred bucks, still a couple $100 off. And what's up? What's up, Ray? Is that Ray L? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Good to meet you, and pleasure to have you in here. And by the way, before I forget to talk about it, I was on a little bit of an interview yesterday. Not a little bit of an interview, but quite a big one with Ivan on Tech. Great channel, great guy. Really highly recommend him. So go check him out. Type in Ivan on Tech on the YouTubes, and hopefully it'll be the first video there. But yeah, really enjoy speaking with him, and if you're interested in this, well, you might be interested in that as well. We talk about all different types of stuff. Anyways, so looking at the daily, yes, still looking like a continuation of me right here, just because we still see those daily stocks headed upwards and onwards, gaining that same sort of momentum the whole way through, and so we do see daily RSI still looking constructive to me. I know people are going to be calling this bearish divergence. It is not bearish divergence. It is nowhere near bearish divergence until we actually have a confirmed local top in mind. Otherwise, you're going to end up all the people trying to short every fucking dildo close up for the last week or so. As Jesus Christ, man, here we go. And what's up? Oh man, it's a little bit too small to say right now. Ogala, good to meet you, Ogala. So yeah, looking at the daily does make me think that we still have some room for some upside on the higher time frames, and that's coincided by the 2-day and the 3-day. The 2-day showing right over here. We do have a full-on bullish posture on the 2-day total time frame. We do have the red 10 simple above the yellow 21, above the green 50, above the cyan 89, above the purple 200, which is now above the blue 37 sound exponential moving average. So all these things played out in a beautiful attempt. We do see 2-day Stokes pointed back upwards and onwards, which have been a damn good sign of of momentum. Especially when we get the same signals. When we get signals on the same side of the macro trend is what I want to say. And the last big signal will actually be given over here at the beginning of May, which led Bitcoin up from about 5,800 to 7,000. Sorry, not 5,800 to 7,000, but 5,800 to 8,000 before coming back down and basing on 6,000 once again. And then we also saw the time before that this signal being given right over here. Right over here on the 14th of March, which was during this phase leading up before that first major leg up. So these things combined with each other do make me think that we have some room for some upside here based off the higher time frames. But the rally attempt at whole, in a whole, is starting to lose a little bit more momentum over time. But remember, over time, especially on a 2-day digital time frame, is gonna that's gonna account for much more much more longer price action. Looking at 2-day RSI, which I would say is much more important, as Elsa screams in the background. We do see that yes, it is probably going to be creating some divergence at some point in time, but still need to confirm a local high. And right now is just continuation. The only way that we could get a local high right here is if we actually just came back down below 8,800, and then we could confirm that, and then you would have bearish divergence and probably be looking at a move back down to 7,800. But again, at the end of the day, I think that'd be I think that's the less likely thing to happen. What I think is more likely is that we get continuation here first and foremost. Looking at 3-day, same sort of thing. We actually just closed this guy last night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so it's fresh and new in the market, and we do see 3-day Stokes pointing back up to the upside as well. Again, this is something that we very rarely see, where the 3-day Stokes will come down below the critical zone and then actually bounce from that area. Can it happen? Yes. We've seen it a couple times in history, no doubt about that, but very rarely does it actually happen. And you will see that kind of stuff happen. You will see that behavior in a strong market. And again, looking at the overall structure of this, the only way that we'd be getting a local top here on this next 3-day dollar, which is again going to count for the next 3 days of price action. We literally just got a new one. Is if we took out the low of the prior one, which is 86.33.5. 2.5 on BitMexico. So I'd have a lot of work to do. Then yes, I'd be looking at a move maybe down to like 7,500. But again, I just then really my point is that I want to I just want to show that if the bearish route is going to establish itself, like for an actual legitimate trade, a lot of work needs to be done. And right now, while Bitcoin is kind of selling off in the lower time frames, I do just consider that just lower time frame volatility essentially. And of course, going over here to the weekly as well, weekly looking strong to me. Weekly looks fine, and by all measurements of it, the past week essentially closing above the dump dildo, the mega dump dildo of the week prior, is a damn good signal. And for us to have continuation on top of that, which we already have, taken out the prior high at about 9,400. Well, that to me is good for a little bit more. Of course, we do see weekly Stokes pointed upwards and onwards as well. And there it is. What's up? Man, these names, it's for whatever reason my interface over here is so small. Let me actually expand this and maybe I can rightfully welcome you in. Sorry about that. Do apologize about that. It must be annoying. Anyways, with my own stupid raspy lesbian voice. Anyways, with the weekly chart right over here, we do see weekly Stokes pointed upwards and onwards once again, which again, you will see behavior like this in strong trending moves. Really, the RSI that I look to get a gauge on like where we are in this actual phase. The Stokes are better for are better for like the short-term movements, but trending movements they're not designed for as well, at least the way that you kind of intuitively want to look at it. The weekly RSI, again, going to be building some divergence here, but first and foremost, we need to once again sit in the local high. And for this time frame, we don't even really have a chance to do that this week. I mean, unless if we quite literally took out the low the week prior at 7,500, or sorry, not even that, but the one before that about 7,400, then yes, then we could say such things. But again, I look at this continuation. We have a full-on bullish position on all of the moving averages from all the time frames from a daily, which we have a full-on splayed out attempt between basically the rainbow of colors. We got the 2-day right over here, same thing. 3-day right over here, getting the golden cross, has all lower periods above higher periods except for the simples, just saying. And then of course the weekly as well, which has the 10 simple above the yellow 21, above the green 50, above the cyan 89, above the purple 200, and not enough really not enough history for the blue 37 sun exponential, although it is like way below here. So fair enough, it is kind of more of a technicality, but yeah, would align with below it as well. So overall, I do look at this as most likely on the higher time frames have continuations. We do see that this last rally attempt to about 9,500 is kind of meeting the top of that Trollinger band, which is now coming officially at 98.25. It looks like on Bitstamp. So I would look at that as a potential target for for an upwards push. And what's really going to dictate this next phase right here, whether we're actually like kind of putting in a top, putting in like a soft top, or whether we want to trend once again. And this is where I like really, and I'm going to say some crazy things right now. I don't want to be taken as like a perma bull or an irrational bull or anything like that. I'm sure if you were tuning into this content just a year ago, you probably thought I was an irrational bear. But right now it's a little bit better of time to be bull. Anyways, my point is that, if Bitcoin can push this Trollinger band to the upside on this next attempt, if we can actually close anywhere above this, and this is talking about at the end of the week, when it closes at 8 p.m. Eastern time, if we can actually close above 98.50, I would say that greatly increases the chance that Bitcoin makes one of those lovely Bitcoin run attempts, probably into the 11,000s actually. 11,500 would be the obvious target actually on this one. So funnily enough, but of course that is well and far away. That is, I only look at that if and when Bitcoin closes this next weekly dildo above the top Trollinger band, which is currently 98.25. So it's gonna be like 98.50. Bitcoin can close above there on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Then yes, I would be looking for significant more continuation to the upside. And so right now we're kind of figuring that out. If we close below it, it's not necessarily a death sentence, but it is something to consider that this might what's the word that I'm looking for, might not be as strong as as I'm kind of considering right now. Anyways, we do see on the daily that the daily is actually pushing the top Trollinger bands right now. So again, just another thing saying continuation. I do look for continuation here, even though when we go to the lower time frames now, because I know a lot of people want to look at this, the good old crack trader time frames, they don't they're not looking so strong right now, but overall, you can see a nice consolidation being put in right over here. It's just a little ascending triangle is what it looks like to me. Something like this. Oh, I guess we already have it. Let me actually go to a fresh chart here, on GDAX, and I'm going to take off everything just because we don't really need all that much, but we have a very obvious trend line guiding us up right here, and we have this guy obviously being our resistance at force. So we're kind of creating a nice little ascending triangle, and I would be running with that assumption as long as Bitcoin is holding this 3-hour 21 exponential moving average. If we do lose that, then yes, I do think that that Bitcoin comes back down to 8950-ish region, right around here, and bases there, and probably bounces a little bit. But for right now, I do think that we're just riding this trend line up and creating essentially a bullish reaccumulation pattern right over here. No matter which way you cut it, this is what this is kind of what it looks like to me. So yes, if this area does break, I would be looking for some more significant downside down to the 8900-ish level. But even that doesn't really change around the higher time frames just yet. So again, it's just one of those things where patience is going to go a long ways here, and I'd still be going with the former trend, as that is your friend still, and it has been for the past Jesus, like 6 months now, maybe. Yeah, 6 months. So going over here to the 12 hour, I'm curious how the 12 hour looks. 12 hour a little bit more toppy-ish looking, actually. In fact, the 12 hour is the one that probably concerns me the most right now, just because 12 hour Stokes are coming down, and I typically don't like trading against those. Those have been pretty damn good with the overall price action. Not only that, but we do see kind of a long-legged doji doodle right over here being put in place. So could we have a short-term reversal and still remain long-term bullish? Yeah, absolutely, 100% possible. And Jesus Christ, what's going on over here? Oh, there we go. Never mind. Phone going absolutely crazy. Every hour of the day, there's no rest. There's no rest for the fucking wicked. You trade magic into money, and then the phone just doesn't stop either. Jesus Christ. Anyways, but you gotta love it. Anyways, looking at 12-hour RSI, do we have divergence here? No, we do not. It's damn close though. Holy shit, it's close. But no, it's not necessarily in there. But again, it's just this would probably be my biggest concern right now with the way that the overall structure looks. 6 hour kind of a little bit droopy here. We do see 6 hour Stokes turning down and kind of losing formation as well. It does make me consider that we do have a little bit of downside here and do come back down and test that 8900 level, or sorry, 8950 more accurately speaking. But remember, I'd really be following this trend line until it basically tells you not to, essentially. And that is this guy going up right over here. Going to be best represented by the 3 hour 21 exponential moving average, this yellow moving average right over here. So that's what I'd be looking at. Yes, this is an ascending triangle, so we can make a measure move based off that. And what's up? What's up, VUF Berlick? Good Berlick. Hey, what's up, man? Good to meet you. And pleasure to welcome you into the cave. We do have a measure move we made on this guy right over here. Where would that be pointing towards? It would be pointing towards right in the middle of our next target area, right about a hair below 10,000. So you have multiple things pointing in this area. We have the measure move off this ascending triangle right over here, pointing towards a little bit north of 10,000. We have what looks to be a cup and handle, on the smaller time frames right over here, pointing up to about 9,700. And then we now have this ascending triangle right over here in this smaller version of this, pointed up to about 9,900. So all just kind of sprinkled within this area, and that's why I like to make zones of profit taking. And of course, I do think that there's going to be a lot of eyes on this region just by the nature of it being the glorious 10,000 level, right? You have the 9,000 Vegeta memes, but 10,000, that's 5 digits, baby. That's 5 digits and halfway to moon boob. So you can't stop right there, and everyone's going to get quite excited, and for good reason, right? But my point is that when everyone's looking at the same area, when everyone's kind of talking about the same thing, and it's on everyone's mind's eye, well, typically one of two things happens. We either get front ran, meaning that we probably hit just the lower end of the range, which we already got pretty close, to be fair. We already got to 9,500, but I do think that there's probably a little bit more there. Or we get overshot and get shot, past the blue box or just, north of 10,000 and liquidate all the people who think they're going to be geniuses or heroes shorting the 10,000 region, which I don't think that there's going to be too many around that area. Yes, you do have your prior swing highs from May 2018 right over here. Let me just make this right. There we go. Yeah, May 2018 right over here at 10,000. And we also we don't really have like a major fib in this region. In fact, the fib that we do have is currently stifling us right around the 9450-ish region, which you can consider that we tested 2 days ago and then yesterday as well. Sorry, yesterday and also today. Yes. Both kind of testing this region and rejected so far by the 382. But holy moly, man, what's up, Pete? Pizza, good to meet you, Pizza Collins. Good to meet you. Coin. Pizza coin. There we go. We need some pizza on the blockchain too, bitch. Mom! Jesus Christ. Anyways, so, with all these sorts of things, we do have some technicals aligning with this area as well, which I do like. Obviously, volume profile suggesting some activity within this region if we do pull it out just a little bit. And let's just take everything off and kind of get it naked right there. But yeah, the last of the higher value nodes are kind of stuck within this region. And of course, once Bitcoin actually gets above 10,000, it's Rip City above here. There's really not too much stopping you. When Bitcoin was stuck at this higher value node right over here, you saw price action move at like a snail's pace, right? And then you saw it get stuck at this area right over here, moved a little bit slower as well, and this kind of stutter step right here. But even then, I would still say it's moving quite fast, and more importantly, compare this sort of activity with what we're looking at right over here, and you're going to see much more volatile movements if and when Bitcoin does get into this region, which is essentially, anywhere above, officially speaking, about 12,000. You're going to see some crazy moves once again, not just to the upside but also to the downside. The books are likely going to be thin. They already feel quite thin. I mean, you see, sometimes you see like ticks of like $10 to $20. It's fucking insane what's going on right now. I mean, these markets are liquid as fuck, and that can certainly create some massive problems. Anyways, with regards to what we're looking at right over here, I do want to go back and check out CMEs. Go on the daily right over here. We do see CMEs looking a little bit more toppy, certainly a little bit more toppy than what we looked at on spot. But I do put more weight on this fact that CMEs basically had a gap up to start the week. That to me is massively bullish, at least for this week. Now, of course, an island gap itself would be quite bearish, but for right now, it's a gap up. So I give the nod to that first and foremost. And if we do come back down, obviously 8,500 from a more medium time frame perspective is going to be an area of consideration. If Bitcoin does break that area, if Bitcoin does come back down to that area, I probably would be a buyer, just in confluence with where we kind of put in that nice gap and ended on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time right over here on June 14th. So if Bitcoin did come back down around here, that would be probably a buying opportunity for at the very least a bounce for myself. By the way, full transparency, I do have I don't really have any positions open on my streamer account still. I haven't felt like I've gotten my trades that I wanted to get. If you were on the live stream last night, you saw me kind of miss yet another trade. My bad for not preparing well in advance, but I wanted to buy like 90 60 or 90 or that 90 80 tick. I hesitated way too much, and again, bad on my part, paying a little bit too much attention to the streams and not my trading. But overall, with my streamer account, it's not my main priority. It's my main account is my main priority, and that one is a little bit long right now from about the same level, actually, about 90 50 90 100ish region, somewhere peppered in there. And I'm holding that long with a natural stop loss just right below the low of this dildo right here at 90.55. Very, 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 very simplistic trading right there. If we do lose this area, I would imagine that we do move further down below 9,000. So yes, that is my pivot. I'm pretty happy with that just because it's very, very close. My entry is extremely close to the the price action that I have to see in order to know that I'm wrong on calling that. So again, looking at this setup, I do still kind of give the nod to the upside just by the nature of that. But if we do start to again violate this area right here, then I'm going to be looking at sub 9,000, and probably at that point in time do come back down to fill the gap around 8,500, and that's where I'll be looking for my next position. But for right now, still too early to really call any of this. It's been kind of a boring analysis for the past few days, just because we're seeing what we spoke about for over like the last week and a half to 2 weeks play out now. So it's been happening at kind of like a slower pace, which is fine. I mean, sometimes markets want to move like that. That's completely okay. But again, just requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of faith in the good old bulls over there, which after a year and a half of them completely letting everyone down and doing all that, well, you can imagine that there's going to be some battered bull syndrome in the worlds. Let's go check out GBTC. GBTC closing the day up, pretty damn good close actually, but did close a little bit like a shooting star actually on the daily, and we do not have new highs on GBTC either. I believe we got to 1258 on that day, and we got to 1237 on this day. Yes, so no new highs on GBTC. In fact, looking at the weekly, This one looks a little bit more toppy to me actually. GBTC would be a little bit more leaning towards coming back down here to that 11 and 15 cent region, but still, I do think that it is appropriate to be a little bit more laid back here. And like I said, I'm not aggressive with my positions right now. I don't believe that this is the time to be aggressive with positions. I believe that this is the time to be kind of letting them roll if you were already long. Adding in this region is difficult just because managing risk is still you're gonna have to have a little bit more of a risk appetite right now with the obvious areas to manage on, at least the obvious areas that that I'd be managing on. So yeah, again, to kind of wrap it up on the lower time frames, hourly just creating its own little ascending triangle right over here. I would still run with this assumption as long as we follow this trend line and are closing hourlies especially, but more importantly 3 hour dildos back above this yellow 21 exponential moving average. As I struggle for my words, man, I did not sleep well last night. I'm telling you, the sun outside, it's too fucking much. Like, even with the blackout curtains, it still gets through. It just takes a little bit, man. And I think our brains are so hardwired to just sense light and then immediately turn on. So, you're wide awake at fucking 3 a.m. Great one, Krown. Anyways, stop complaining to people out there. That's probably just annoying. Anyways, go check out the longs and shorts of it all. We do see longs at about almost 24,000 open longs versus shorts, which have climbed up a little bit more towards 25 and a quarter, paying a decent rate now, actually 0.35% versus 0.55% for the longs. That would put a little bit more pressure on to the upside. We do see about 800 guys are hedged, so 24,000 open naked shorts versus basically about the same on the longs. So we do have we are pretty much at parity, but as you can see, both sides are kind of building themselves up right now. So there is going to be rocket fuel for a big move, I'd say, as we can see these aggregate numbers get up to 40,000 plus. Plenty of times in history. So that would suggest that if either side doesn't want to throw down, they can fucking do that, and it will move the market absolutely. And as we do kind of stack more and more people on top of the pile right here, you would imagine that even just small moves outside this range, anywhere below 9,000 or above 9,500, you're going to start to get the liquidation engines rolling again. So that's pretty much essentially our range. No matter which way you kind of cut this baby, I do think that you can look at this as an ascending triangle. That's what the bulls are looking at this like. If you're looking at this from like a divergence aspect, you are starting to see them formulate on the lower time frames, but I do think that if you want to make if you want to simplify, it's very obviously this trend line right here kind of holding up the lower time frame support 8,900. This trend line right over here 9,350 are obvious resistance, and we have a median trend line coming in right over here. Obviously that is not as important, but to this formation right here, but a breakout of either one of these sides of these ranges will lead to that next leg. If it is to the downside, I'd be looking for a move down to about 8,500. If it is to the upside above 9,350, I'd be looking for a move towards our next target, like 9,700, 9,800 region, and reassess from there. So we are getting damn close within this whole formation. We do see the hourly historical volatility percentile starting to cool down a little bit more, but it's actually not really giving us a full-on signal. I'm curious what time frame we kind of show any activity really populating. That's 4 hour, that's 3 hour. What about 8 hour? 8 hour kind of still down. 12 hours still trending down. Daily still trending down. So yeah, we're gonna have to go to the very low time frames to get an idea of what's going on here, and even the 30-minute and the 15-minute not showing us all that much. So what's more than likely to happen here than anything else, in my opinion, is just more consolidation on the lower time frames. What it kind of shows us, higher time frames still kind of in the mid space. So looking at the lower time frames, I would say that this consolidation probably likely to keep on following through and filling out this space, especially as long as we follow this trend line right over here. I would say that this is more than likely a bullish consolidation. But the second that we break this trend line right here, I would say that this is going to be more than likely a bearish consolidation. And if we break this trend line right here, it'll be confirmed as a bearish consolidation with a target of about 8,500. Same thing for the bulls. All they have to do is just hold this trend line right here and break out of 9,350 to the upside, and I'll be looking at targets a little bit higher towards again 97 and 98. And that's kind of what's at stake right now. So we can do all the mental masturbation on the higher time frames, on the lower time frames, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to those specific triggers, and that's essentially how I'll be kind of positioning myself. Although I'm not too intent on taking new trades within this region, what I'm more intent on is looking at the higher time frames and kind of judging the next big areas to be aware of. And looking at the monthly right over here, we do see that let me get this out of the way. That is annoying. There we go. Anyways, looking at the monthly, we do have our first higher high on the monthly, the first one in over a year and a half. At some point in time, we will come back down and set a higher low, but I don't believe that happens anytime soon. We need to first put in a local high here, then create a downtrend, and then create essentially the higher low. So it'd be at the closest 3 months, I suppose. And even then, I mean, that's like the most aggressive route there. That's like a straight line taken there. Is it going to be like that? I'm not quite sure about that, especially when I look at the oscillators here. The monthly Stokes pointed upwards and erect. I always do want to remind myself of this for the general macro direction bias. And we do see daily RSI getting back above this white exponential as well, which should accurately call the bullish momentum in 2014, 2015. Both of those things actually got them pretty much perfectly right right around here in October for the RSI, and right around July for the Stokes, which actually did have a little bit of a rejection here, but ultimately once both those things aligned, we did see the bullish momentum really start to lift off and take this bitch to new highs. So with all that in mind, I do want to check out Mrs. Litecoin. How's she doing? How's that beautiful bitch over here? 131 and a quarter. Monthly, by the way, for Mrs. Litecoin, looking very powerful, very, very good. Weekly looking good as well to me. 3-day, did we close a good 3-day? 3-day is a little bit more iffy. 3-day is certainly more iffy. I'm not a big fan of this 3-day right here. The 3-day does look like it could very easily come back down to about 122 region. 2-day, same thing, same target, about 123. Daily, same thing. Once again, this one's a little bit more difficult. But yes, we do still see higher time frames bullish. What's up, Brett Love? Good to meet you, man. Good to have you in the cave. We do still see that, right? But let's go to the lower time frames and see how they look for a second, because Bitcoin's still kind of holding in there. Does Mrs. Litecoin pull through as well? Well, we can chart this one out, no doubt about that. And we have a very obvious support trend line right over there, and then we have this declining resistance trend line right over here. And we're basically looking at a nice little consolidation coming off of, basically coming off of a parabolic rally attempt, essentially. So trades can be taken off this area. If we do break back above 136, I would be looking for a move back to the top of the range, 144 region plus. By the same token, support right around 128. If 128 breaks to the downside, I'm looking for a move back down to the low 120s. 122 would be kind of like the median of the target. But as long as we're within this range, I wouldn't really have a bias. Yes, some of the higher time frames are actually looking like we do want to come down here, but the very high time frames, like the macro time frames, are still bullish. So does that imply that we come down and then that's going to be a buy? Yes, that's kind of what that implies. So I would be putting more weight on Bitcoin right now, just because if Bitcoin does move to the upside, I do think that Litecoin pulls through here and probably takes the northern route. But again, Litecoin's kind of had her move, right? She's already moved up 600% off the lows, I believe it was. Let's just kind of measure this one out. About 520% off the lows. Pretty fucking good, man. Pretty fucking good. In fact, we do see a similar activity in the past prior market cycle where Mrs. Litecoin rallied something like off the lows right over here, some insane amount. Now it depends if you take wicks or not. If you're taking wicks, and it's about 832%. Let's do bodies for a second, just because that's going to be a little more accurate. 318%. Okay, all right, that makes a little bit more sense. So we've actually done more from a body to body perspective, actually, and I would say that is significantly more powerful. Yeah, this one about 434%, just body to body, not wicks included. So we do know that this is kind of within Mrs. Litecoin's first mover historical advantage, I suppose you could say. Does that line up with Bitcoin? Essentially, does that mean that we're still going to see them, coupled together? Probably. Again, we see we see Mrs. Litecoin go into a phase of consolidation after that. Basically, still respecting the breakout, obviously, but coming back down to retest it a couple times. So perhaps that would be considered maybe down around here, right around the $93 region. But again, I'm a little bit undecided on this. I do think that's less important than just watching the actual price action, especially with regards to Bitcoin, as that one does seem to lead, especially right now. We do see Mr. Buteral. Do we have new highs on Mr. Buteral? Maybe not. Our prior high was 289.42. High a few days ago was 280. So not quite there just yet, but I do think that this one is flagging out, and I do think that it's basically getting ready for a move, probably towards $400 overall, more medium term speaking. But looking at the weekly, very similar to Mr. Bitcoin. Stokes crossing back up. We basically just bought up the past prior week. We do have a bullish cross on these guys right over here, although we do not have the green 50 and the cyan 89, but they are converging on each other, which would suggest that trend is strengthening to the upside. Looking at daily, daily's a little bit scary here. I'm not a fan of the way that the daily looks right here. 12-hour just coming back down to the red 10 symbol, but I would not be surprised if this thing came back down to 161. While I think medium to longer term, it certainly is bullish, along with Bitcoin. Shorter term, I I'd kind of be looking for a little bit of a pullback here. We do see daily, so still got plenty of room to roll, but lower time frames are really looking extended, overextended and tired. So 12 hour down to 4 hour, yeah, both these guys, still riding up to 21. But man, I do feel like it's certainly possible to make another stab attempt down to the low 260 region. I wouldn't be as bullish on this one. In fact, this one I wouldn't be bullish on it until we actually see. To actually really see just the prior high being taken out at 289.5, then I'd be looking for that next leg up, more accurately speaking, and deep into the 300s. But there will be points of interest before that. Obviously, we do have. Let's go back to the daily for a second here. We do have about $300 as a point of interest. Then above that, we have about 320, and then above that, then we can talk about $360 to $400. But for right now. Still looking constructive on on our higher time frames, but lower time frames quite tired. So I would be cautious here. Let's go check out CZ coin. Where is he? Where's my good old CZ? I trust you, CZ. Yep, making its way up towards our target of $35.5. Not bad. What do I think now, though? Do I think that we get some more continuation here? We're actually headed down on the daily Stokes, funnily enough, but we're right at resistance. So this is a pretty easy one to trade. If $35.5 breaks on maybe even like a 4 hour total time frame, let's go over here and see what it's saying. Yeah, even on a 4 hour, I'd say that's okay. Anywhere above there, I'd be looking for the next leg towards $38. Yeah, about $38 looks about right. Although we might expand that. $38 to $40, I would say would be about right. And this one is looking constructive. This one is looking good on the lower time frames. The higher time frames not as much, actually. Funnily enough, 3 day looks good. It's just the daily looks a little bit droopy. 3 day, 2 day both fine. Weekly fine. Yeah, I do think that this one is bullish here and does push for new highs actually. Let's see what else we got. Let's go look at Link. Actually, I've added Link to the to the playlist just because Link has been a perennial fucking winner. I don't know anything about this. I think it might link chains or something like that. But if you look at it right over here, daily still constructive. We were bullish on it yesterday. I'd still be bullish on it today. 12 hour looking fine to me. Just rallying off the red 10 simple. All higher time frames still looking like they want a little bit more continuation here. That's 2 day, 3 day. Both just want more is what it looks like. Weekly Stokes. This is where I start to get a little more bullish on this one, or more bullish, I suppose you could say, as they just crawl their way upwards and onwards. I mean, very, very powerful. This one's literally going parabolic right now. Powerful link, powerful linky link, and 4 hours just a nice little flag. We do have a mesh move to be taken off this, and we could do something like this and apply this to this area right over here. And if we do get that next leg up, I'd be looking at, oh my god, I'm gonna turn into like a fucking links maximalist, but nice psychological, sorry, I can't speak. Again, I really don't feel like I slept well last night, so I do apologize about some of my slurred words. But 30,000 Satoshis is what I'd be looking at. And I take a sip of this water because I'm damn thirsty. Ooh, highly professional with that beef burp over there. So yeah, I'd still be bullish on that one. Cardano, still bad. Bad close on the daily. If this thing pops back up to 1020, that's going to be resistance now. Not a fan of the way that this one's looking and the way that a lot of alts are looking. The second that Cardano takes out 980 to the downside, and we will see likely a 860 area retested once again. Higher 800s to lower 900s is what I would say. But overall, just looking like another lower high in the overall series of many lower highs. Not a big fan of what this one's doing right now, especially the last daily total close. Only way that I kind of switch around on this one is if we could actually close a daily back above this this blue box territory right here. Ooh, okay, there it comes. Let's see. BNB, we looked at that one. GBTC, we looked at that. Zcash hitting our 105 target, 106 target. Not bad. Hey, there you go. Sometimes that technical analysis shit works. The magical crystal balls spinning their webs towards 106. And there you go. Target hit. I do think that this one probably has maybe a little bit more to go. Let's go back to the daily. No, I don't like being long into this area right here. I was gonna say that that I think this one has more more room to go. I'd have to pull back from saying that. No, I disagree with myself. I had a conversation with myself and I disagree now. Yeah, I do think that anywhere between about 106 and 110 is gonna be the top of this run right here, and then we're gonna consolidate a little bit lower. But we are gonna be having the golden cross on this one relatively soon. Maybe I do change my mind on that. What I can say a little bit more steadily is that if you do see this thing break above 111 and close a daily above there, we're going to see much higher than that if that were to happen. I'd say 150 to 160 would be the next target, and we'll reassess after that. But this one is starting to really look like it wants to turn around, and weekly looking good, monthly looking good, and daily looking good actually. Well, daily looking like a little bit of resistance, but higher time frame's fine. Bcash, what's he doing? Laggard right now, certainly laggard in this market. Full on rejection right at our horizontal at 445. Probably coming back down to 408, 410 region. I do think that this one has downside in the more immediate time frames. Tron Cash, a little bit of a rejection here after our first target was hit at 34.5 cent, or sorry, 3.45 cent. But I do think that we're just coming back down here to create a little bit of a base, and I do still consider this an overall constructive behavior. I do think that this one's bullish actually still. Looking at weekly. Weekly's okay. Even if weekly came back down to 3.1 cent, I'd be a buyer there. I'd actually kind of like that. 3-day looks like it's just coming back down to support. Same thing with 2-day right here. In fact, a little bit more so. In daily right over here. I kind of like the setup, and I do think that I still think that we actually hit our target of 0.358, 359, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Looks like it wants some more. Neo wants some down, probably back down to 13 and a quarter. EOS, what's EOS doing? EOS. Looking a little bit droop as well. Let's say 680, 682, 683. What else we got? XRP. XRP actually, I think it's actually finally initiated the breakout. Yeah, there we go. I think that XRP probably does come back down to test like 43 cents, but I'm bullish on this one, man. This one's broken out to the upside. We have a golden cross right over here, the green 50 and the purple 200. We're above all major movement averages and resolved this symmetrical triangle to the upside. This does have a measure move all the way up towards 52.5 to 53 cents. I like what I'm seeing here, and I do think that Ripple has some room to run after a little bit of a pullback in the lower time frames. Weekly looks good. Weekly looks fine. What about Monero? Monero Cash doing, do we have some new highs? I think we 101. Nope, not quite, but damn close. Monero looking a little bit on the stronger side. I do think that this one wants continuation here. I do think that this looks overall constructive, and I do think healthy. So yeah, next target's going to be somewhere around 115-ish region. Looking at 12-hour. What's 12 hours saying if we can get it to load? 12 hours a little bit toppy here. If this one does pull back, target would be 92.8. You'll notice that it's pulling back if we take out the low of the prior 12 hour at 95.5 bucks. Stellar is still flagging out. With Ripple me nipples doing its thing. Hey, it did hit our 13 cents target. Hey, not bad. That already got hit days ago. That's not my next target. My next target is 13.5 cent and then 15 cent. I do still think it's constructive. Do still think it's flagging out, but taking its time, obviously. With Ripple moving, I do think that this one does kind of follow in its footsteps. If it comes back down to 12.38, I'd probably actually, if I were trading this, I might even consider buying a bounce there. Let's see what else we got. 4 hour time frame. Yeah, 4 hours a little bit more droopy. Probably comes back down to 12.5 maybe. And that's pretty much it. What about traditional markets? SPY still flagging out. I really don't have any strong opinion on SPY right now. It's not, I think the easiest way to trade this is just watching the weekly, but I don't feel like I've had a good grip on traditional markets this past week. And we do see that there is a very obvious trade here, but it's going to take a little bit of patience. Do we take out the high or the low of this doji dildo on the weekly prior? So whether it's 291.4 to the upside or 287.82 to the downside, those are going to be the big triggers. If we do take it out to the upside first, I'd be looking for a move to the prior high of at around 295 and probably beyond. That'd be considered extremely strong. If we do take out the low, then I'd be looking for a move back down to about 284, 283, which is what I was looking for to happen last week. But this action being very resilient in this region, as all these moving averages are given a time to kind of, a time to kind of catch up. Starting to look better, actually. Starting to look a lot better. So, I kind of sit back from making any sort of decisions there. What's up? Hey, what's up, Jay? Good to meet you as well, man, and good to meet all the new people here. A pleasure as always to welcome new people in this lovely cave. There's plenty of room for everyone. Nice and comfortable. There's all sorts of things, all sorts of surprises in the secret TA room. Yeah. So traditional markets, I do think that is worth waiting on. Just seeing the resolution of this range right here, whichever way that one breaks, that's going to be your next next nice little direction. And we do have to be aware of the monthly close, and in the next 12 days or so, a close like this was going to be pretty damn good. I'm still going to hold off on saying anything crazy just yet, but traditional markets could be setting up there. I mean, that's been such a whip, man. That has been such a whipsaw and very difficult to get. If you've been trading traditional markets and especially SPY on top of that, I tip my hats off to you. I did not like trading SPY because there's so many games played, especially with the stock that has, basically an ETF that has, bi-weekly expirations. There's a lot of fucking games that are going to be played there. Looking at Bitcoin once again, I don't think that we talked about the fear and greed index. We do see that we're at we're in extreme greed levels around an 83. This is a little bit more of a toppy-ish area. So, again, is it time to be more conservative in this region? I would say that it certainly wouldn't hurt, although I do think that it has a little bit of room to get higher towards 85 to 90. I think that that's where this next top gets put in, but in 83, I mean, it's just a couple ticks below that, so I think I'd still be kind of holding out with the former trend still. Still let it be your friend. It hasn't proven you wrong just yet. It's gotten damn close, but it hasn't done it just yet. And again, the higher time frames still do take precedence, and I do want to remind myself that the daily, the 2-day, the weekly and the 3-day all looking fine to me, and of course the monthly as well. So higher time frames still bullish. Lower time frames, do we see this pullback get a little bit more nasty? I think I'll just have to leave you off with exactly what I started this guy with, and it is this simple right here. We have three trend lines that matter. We have this one to the upside at about you could say maybe 93.50, we'll call it 93.50 right here. We have this rising trend line right here, diagonal coming in right around 91.50, and then we have this yellow 20-minute exponential moving average coming in right around here, which you probably could make decisions off of, although the obvious official way is going to be this horizontal right here at about 89.20, 89.30. Whichever one of those breaks first is going to be your next big macro direct, or not your macro direction, but your short-term to medium-term time frame direction. If we do break 93, it's actually 93.25 to the upside, close like a 4-hour delta above there. I would be looking for that next leg to be taken towards 97 to 98. By the same token, if we do break this rising trend line right here, that's going to be your first warning signal, but not a signal in and of itself, although a scalp attempt perhaps down to this 89.50-ish region. If this area breaks, however, then I would be looking for the flush down to about 85 region, where I'd be looking for a bounce there, and I would be looking to be a buyer there, and that's kind of what I'm holding out for if that does tend or happen to happen, I suppose, to use a redundant word. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm looking at right over here. No more complicated than that. All the rest is just mental masturbation. As far as trades go, that's basically how I'll be basing my next trade off of. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you on this lovely little Tuesday, a nice little Taco Tuesday in progress. I'll be signing off now, but I do believe that I'll have time for a stream later. I'm not sure if I'll have time for a stream, but I think I should have a time for a stream later. I do have to take care of a few things first, but if all goes to plan, I should be on at the regular time, maybe a little bit later, to do the ceremony. So with all that said, I do want to wish you all on this lovely little Tuesday, and I will see you soon.